Welcome back to my channel. You think you know the story of the Brown family. 17 seasons of moving trucks, celestial marriages crumbling under the weight of secrets, and tears spilling in cul-de-sacs. But that's only the version TLC wants you to see. Because if your only glimpse into their lives comes from those Sunday night episodes, you aren't just missing half the story. You're being fed a carefully curated lie. A lie designed to protect the adults while leaving the children exposed to chaos and betrayal. For years, the cameras have followed Cody and his wives. But the real war, the raw, unfiltered, soul-shattering war, has been happening out of frame. In the dark corners of basements, in the private group chats, in the footage that never made it to your screen. We're talking about physical confrontations that were quietly swept under the rug. A systematic campaign to brand the original Brown children as bullies, a weaponized narrative to justify Cody's emotional abandonment. This isn't just jealousy anymore. This is a divide so deep, it has fractured a family irreparably. We've scoured insider leaks, pieced together deleted TikTok lives, and combed through subtle clues hidden in the background of the show. What we've uncovered tells a story that Cody never wanted the world to know, what really happened between. Before we dive into this explosive truth, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the Sister Wives Crew channel. We are the only ones brave enough to tell the story that others refuse to touch. Turn on notifications because the next updates about the investigation into the family finances will shake this family to its core. Pick your side because things are about to get ugly. To understand the sibling war, you have to understand the hierarchy that began the moment Robin Sullivan stepped into the Brown household. For years, we were sold the illusion of one big, happy family. But insiders and even admissions from the kids themselves reveal something far darker. Two warring tribes. On one side, the OG kids, the original battalion forged in chaos, love, and survival. Logan, Hunter, Garrison, Gabe, and Peyton. They grew up wrestling, working, and living with limited resources. They were loud, rough, unbreakable, and fiercely loyal to one another. On the other side, the protected class, the children of Robin, Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna. Their arrival didn't just shift the dynamic, it shattered it. Cody forced a narrative that these children needed protection, care, and unconditional reverence. Acceptance wasn't requested, it was demanded. The rules were cruelly simple. The OG kids could no longer play or interact naturally. If they wrestled too hard, it was aggression. If they teased too much, it was bullying. The result? A pressure cooker of resentment and anger that was always bound to explode. And then there's Peyton Brown, the loose cannon, the voice TLC never expected. While the show confined its storylines to couch interviews and staged interactions, Peyton has taken to TikTok and podcasts to tear the duct tape off the family secrets. His accounts provide the clearest insight yet into what we now call the Camp A versus Camp B theory, a battle hidden from cameras, hidden from audiences, but impossible to ignore once the truth comes to light. This is the story you weren't meant to hear. A story of betrayal, favoritism, and a family ripped apart from the inside. And as we continue to peel back the layers, the question becomes, how much longer can this house of secrets survive before it finally collapses entirely? Peyton has made it abundantly clear. The friction in the Brown household wasn't just teenage angst. This wasn't a few harmless arguments blown out of proportion. No, it was a structural failure orchestrated, unknowingly or not, by Cody himself. The heart of this feud goes back years to a sentiment Peyton shared that shakes the very foundation of Cody's narrative. According to him, Robin did not save the family the way Cody claims. In Cody's mind, Robin brought romance, structure, and a sense of order. But in the eyes of the OG kids, she brought something else entirely: division. The original boys, Logan, Hunter, Garrison, Gabe, and Peyton, were raised in a household where roughhousing, loud laughter, and chaos were part of daily life. Suddenly, with Robin's arrival, every movement, every tone, every word was policed. Insiders reveal that Cody began punishing these kids for not showing enough difference or deference toward Robin's children. Imagine being a teenage boy, raised in a house where survival meant strength and boldness, and now being scolded for not smiling wide enough when new siblings entered the room. This is where the infamous bully narrative began to take root. And it's critical to understand, this wasn't organic. It was planted, nurtured, and weaponized. The reality of the living situation only made things worse. The OG kids watched Cody spending hours at Robin's house, redirecting attention, resources, and time away from them. But it wasn't the money that truly broke the boys. No, the real fracture came from character assassination. Sources close to the family confirmed that Robin would often approach Cody in tears, claiming her children were being mistreated or excluded by the original Brown kids. A classic manipulation tactic: cast her children as victims, herself as the protector, and Cody as the enforcer. Cody, with his hero complex fully engaged, swallowed it whole. He didn't investigate. He didn't pause. He didn't reflect. He attacked. Suddenly, his biological sons, Gabe, Garrison, and the others, were no longer simply children in need of guidance. They were threats to his new, perfect family unit. And this is why, if you watch the later seasons, you see these boys looking defeated, distant, even broken. They weren't just fighting for their father's time or attention. They were fighting against a false narrative that painted them as villains in their own home. Now, let's go deeper into this bullying accusation, because it is the ultimate shield Robin uses to deflect criticism. Watch the early Flagstaff era closely. Listen to the language Cody and Robin use. The word bully is thrown around repeatedly, casually, as if repeating it enough makes it truth. But the evidence tells another story. Gwen, Peyton, and Peton have all hinted that the reality may have been reversed. Robin's children, it seems, were often aloof, distant, and dismissive, not the OG kids. The theory goes deeper. Because Robin insulated her children so heavily, keeping them home from school, controlling social interactions, they never developed the social skills needed to integrate with the rowdy Brown pack. So when the OG kids tried to engage, to play, to tease, Robin's children would retreat, cry, and run to their mother. And Robin? She reframed these normal social interactions as bullying, reporting them to Cody as proof of aggression. It was a dangerous game, a deliberate narrative twist that Cody eagerly accepted. By labeling the OG kids as bullies, Cody felt justified in withholding affection, attention, and guidance. The more he acted on this false narrative, the more the prophecy fulfilled itself. The OG kids became what they were accused of being, not because they were bad, but because they were forced into that role by the adults who claimed to love them. Cody treated his older sons like enemies, and the fallout was inevitable. Their resentment didn't come from thin air, it was nurtured by Cody himself. He twisted their emotions into evidence against them, painting them as the bad kids while he played the perfect father. There's one moment that encapsulates this toxic dynamic, the infamous eye-rolling incident. It wasn't just an eye roll, it was a spark that ignited years of sibling warfare. The scene was simple. Robin announced she was pregnant, cameras rolling, capturing what should have been a joyous moment. But the teenagers, they weren't exactly jumping for joy. Slouching, tired, maybe a little frustrated at yet another baby demanding attention. Most parents would shrug it off as typical teen behavior. Cody? He went nuclear. According to unaired footage and later admissions, he screamed. He accused the OG kids of breaking Robin's heart. He demanded performance-level happiness. That day, he planted the seeds of hatred. He taught them that their feelings didn't matter. Only Robin's did. And if they failed to perform their happiness, they were labeled abusive. This was emotional blackmail. It forced the teens to suppress their true feelings, and suppressed emotions never stay buried. They leaked out sideways, snarky texts, physical aggression, and eventually complete estrangement. And yes, it got physical. For years, TLC framed the family's tension as verbal sparring. But insiders have hinted at real fights, brother against brother, fueled by Cody's favoritism and manipulations. When Hunter and Garrison wrestled, it was boys being boys. When Pedden or Garrison clashed with Dayton, that was a moral crisis. The double standard corroded the sibling bond. Cody even forbade the OG kids from touching Robin's children, even in play. This created a barrier so stark, so unnatural, that the OG kids could no longer bond with their siblings. Robin's kids became untouchable China dolls, while the OG kids were the bulls in the shop. And Robin? She convinced Cody and everyone watching that her kids were the outcasts. But the truth was the opposite. The OG kids tried to reach out, organize gatherings, but Robin's protection protocols became the ultimate wall, isolating her children and making them dependent on her and Cody, while casting everyone else aside. But the story doesn't end there. The OG camp had its own fractures. The feud between Gwen and Pedden shocked fans when it came to light. Pedden admitted to physically hitting Gwen as a teenager, a serious admission. And where was Cody? Likely off at Robin's house, ignoring the chaos he helped create. If Pedden had hit Aurora, exile. Immediate. But Gwen? Ignored. The hypocrisy is staggering. Trauma wasn't limited to Robin's children. It was everywhere, worsened by a father who was absent when it mattered most. And TLC? They helped rewrite history. For years, the cameras painted a perfect picture. The parties, the graduations, the happy faces. The fights, the insults, the tension, they were all cut. But now, as the family implodes, the cracks are showing. Texts are being revealed, admissions are coming out, and the myth of Robin the Peacemaker is crumbling. Robin claims she wants unity, but the truth is far more complicated. And as the dust settles, we see the full picture. A father who played favorites, a mother who built walls, and children caught in the crossfire. Yet, she is the architect of the bullying narrative that keeps the family divided. Every time Cody was on the verge of forgiving his sons, Robin would whisper reminders of the pain they caused her children. She kept the wound fresh, feeding Cody a constant stream of fear and anger. The boys are scary. They are disrespectful. They are bullies. It's a masterclass in triangulation. By keeping Cody loyal to her side, she ensured he stayed in her home, protecting her children at the expense of the rest of the family. A survival strategy for her, but a death sentence for the Browns. Then there was the loyalty test. This unwritten rule governed the last few years of the family. To earn Cody's approval, you didn't just respect Robin. You had to agree that her kids were victims. Challenge that narrative, and you were cut off. That's why instead, they had Cody. And as we've seen, Cody's support was conditional, volatile, fleeting. They were trapped in a golden cage, told the world outside, and their own siblings were wolves waiting to devour them. The unaired footage isn't just a tape gathering dust in a vault. It's the memories of these children. The whispered conversations after the cameras were off. The 2 a.m. text messages. The sibling war wasn't about bedrooms or Christmas presents. It was a war for truth. The OG kids fought to tell their story. They weren't bullies. They were abandoned children navigating a system designed to fail them, chasing scraps of attention from a father who had already chosen where his loyalty lay. And Robin's kids? Victims too, but not in the way Robin claims. They were victims of a narrative that stole their extended family from them. Everything came to a head with the text message thread, a digital explosion that was years in the making. But before that, the holidays had become a pressure cooker. Christmas at the Brown house, once chaotic and joyous, became a minefield. Cody demanded that the boys apologize to Robin before even gathering together. Apologize for what? For existing. For not worshipping her. That demand was the final line in the sand. Cody essentially said, "Admit you are the villains, and I'll let you see your siblings." The boys, now men with dignity and spines, refused. That refusal triggered the final explosion. Insiders hint at the dark reality of these conflicts. Some speculate that the older boys had to be physically separated during arguments over the rules. While TLC would never air a fistfight between the Brown sons, the tension in those Flagstaff meetings was palpable. Clenched jaws, veins bulging, anger so thick it could be cut with a knife. And Cody? His response was to run. He ran to Robin, locked the door, and told himself he was protecting the good ones from the bad ones. In reality, he abdicated his role as a father to many to become a bodyguard to the few. There is also the financial angle to the bullying narrative. Label the OG kids as unsafe, and suddenly Cody has a reason to separate the assets. Why would he build on Coyote Pass for children who supposedly abuse his loyal wife? The bully label wasn't just emotional, it was financial. It gave Robin the perfect alibi to push the other wives and children off the land. The OG kids weren't a threat to Robin's children. They were a threat to Robin's control and to the monopoly she held over Cody's attention and wallet. By framing their independence as aggression, she neutralized them. Next, let's dive into the explosive feud between Gwen and Pedden. This is a twist no one else has covered. Pedden isn't just the whistleblower, he's also a controversial figure within his own alliance. Gwen has publicly stated she no longer speaks to her brother, and the reason goes back to a shocking admission. Pedden confessed to physically hitting Gwen as a teenager. He called it a slap, others called it a deeper behavioral issue, but the point is clear. Violence happened in the Brown house under Cody's watch. Where was Cody during this? Likely at Robin's house, worrying about Aurora's feelings, while actual physical conflict went unaddressed in his other households. The hypocrisy is staggering. If Robin cried, Cody acted. If Christine's kids fought, he shrugged. He abdicated his role as a father, leaving chaos to fester, and now Pedden and Gwen are estranged adults, unable to be in the same room. Meanwhile, the bullying narrative that Robin crafted to demonize the OG kids actually existed in pockets of the family she ignored. Cody was so focused on guarding Robin's children from imaginary threats that he missed the real ones. But the true nuclear moment came with a Christmas text explosion. A group chat, meant to coordinate a sibling gift exchange, became the battlefield. Logan and the OG kids were trying to salvage a family tradition. But Robin intervened, insisting her children couldn't participate without her oversight. These were adults, Aurora and Brianna in their 20s, but they weren't allowed to plan a secret Santa without their mother monitoring. The OG kids pushed back, hoping to bridge the gap. But Robin's children went on the offensive, defending themselves, accusing the OG kids of being unsafe and parroting Cody's talking points. The narrative had been perfectly set. The OG kids were villains, Robin's children were the victims. The chat spiraled, and then the ultimate act of severance, the block. Robin's kids left the chat and blocked their siblings. Digital excommunication. A slammed door, welded shut. Cody's reaction? Predictable. He didn't see failure in communication. He saw an attack on Robin. He spun the narrative instantly, asking to speak to her. The fallout cannot be overstated. Garrison, in particular, felt the sting. He tried to salvage connection, refurbishing the camper, hoping for family visits. Yet the block confirmed his worst fear. He had been replaced. He was unlovable in the eyes of the people he grew up with. That silence, cruel, permanent, haunts the family to this day. Now, with Garrison gone, reconciliation is impossible. Robin's children have lost any chance to make it right with their brother. Cody? He must live knowing he defended a narrative over his son, choosing loyalty to the loyal tribe over the mental health of his other children. The family is permanently divided into two tribes, with no bridge over the chasm of grief and resentment. The sibling war was never fair. It was independent adults navigating a complex family versus a group of insulated children being controlled by a manipulative parent. The bully narrative was the weapon Cody used to justify abandonment. The OG kids needed to be villains, so he wouldn't feel guilty for being a deadbeat dad. Robin's kids needed to be victims, so he could feel heroic. It was a script Cody wrote in his head, forcing everyone to play a role until the production and the family collapsed. So where does that leave us? Shattered.